No passports, no guides, no second chances. In the wild, migration is the ultimate survival test. Every mile brings new threats: raging rivers, hungry predators, extreme weather, exhaustion. And yet, they keep going. A monarch butterfly travels thousands of miles over 4 generations. A wildebeest charges through crocodile-infested waters. A salmon leaps against waterfalls on an empty stomach. These are nature's athletes, engineers, and warriors, moving not for comfort, but for life itself. In this countdown of the greatest animal migrations, we follow the toughest creatures on Earth as they push their bodies, instincts, and courage to the limit. Survival isn't guaranteed, but stopping is not an option. The epic journey of the wildebeest, nature's greatest land migration. Every year, over 1.5 million wildebeest, alongside thousands of zebras and gazelles, take part in what might be the greatest land migration on Earth, the Serengeti Mara Circuit. This isn't just a walk across the savannah. It's a 1,900 miles test of survival, where predators lurk, rivers rage, and only the strongest endure. Picture it: a literal sea of hooves stretching to the horizon, moving in synchronized waves across the golden plains. From the air, the sight is surreal. Millions of animals weaving through dust and grass like a living river. Then there's the Mara River. As they cross, crocodiles launch like torpedoes, pulling the young and weak beneath the surface. The drama is raw, the stakes, life or death. But why go through all this? It's not just instinct, it's survival. Wildebeest chase the rains, following fresh grass, avoiding drought, and giving birth in fertile lands. Their journey fuels the ecosystem. Lions, cheetahs, hyenas, vultures, all depend on this mass movement. Even the soil benefits from the churned earth and natural fertilization. The timing is eerie. Millions begin moving almost simultaneously. No central leader, no GPS, just pure, ancient biological programming. The wildebeest's sense of direction is so finely tuned, scientists believe they follow the smell of rain and the greening of the land. What's more astonishing, every calf born during this journey must be ready to walk within minutes or be left behind. This isn't just a migration. It's a spectacle of survival, sacrifice, and instinctual genius, and it happens every single year. And if you think that's wild, wait till you see who flies farther than any animal on Earth. The Arctic Tern, the longest migration on Earth. If endurance had a champion in the animal kingdom, it would be the Arctic Tern, a bird so lightweight you could cradle it in your hand, yet it accomplishes a journey more extreme than any beast on land or sea. Over 55,000 miles every year, it flies from its breeding grounds in the Arctic all the way to the Antarctic and back again. That's not just the longest migration on Earth, it's a yearly odyssey across the entire planet. What drives this astonishing journey? Sunlight. Arctic terns are solar chasers, following the longest days of the year across both hemispheres. By doing so, they experience more daylight than any other creature on Earth, a strategy that maximizes feeding opportunities for both adults and their young. And get this, they don't just fly in a straight line. Their path zigzags across oceans to ride prevailing wind patterns, making their trip more energy efficient. Researchers using satellite tracking have discovered that each tern crafts a slightly different flight plan, adapting to conditions in real time, an evolutionary feat of navigational mastery. They cross turbulent skies, dodge storms, escape predators, and spend nearly their entire lives in the air, landing only to nest. Their built-in compass system, likely tuned to the Earth's magnetic field, guides them across featureless ocean expanses with jaw-dropping precision. What's most remarkable? These birds start this migration when they're less than a year old, and they'll continue it for up to 30 years. That means one Arctic tern could travel more than 1.5 million miles in its lifetime. Now that's not just a migration, that's a legacy. Monarch butterfly, the generational odyssey. From delicate wings to mighty feats, the monarch butterfly's migration is unlike anything else in the animal kingdom. Why? Because no single butterfly completes the journey. Instead, it spans 3 to 5 generations, covering nearly 3,000 miles from Canada to the mountains of Mexico. It's not just a flight, it's a relay race across time. Each fall, monarchs from the northern United States and Canada begin their journey south. But the butterflies that arrive in Mexico aren't the same ones that left. Their great-great-grandchildren will be the ones to return north in spring, tracing a path they've never flown, toward a destination they've never seen. How? Science still doesn't fully understand, but what we do know is that this journey is disappearing. Climate change, deforestation, and habitat loss are wiping out critical way stations and breeding grounds. Yet each year, they keep trying, fluttering past highways, cities, and farmland, carrying the memory of a path etched deep into their DNA. When millions gather on Mexican oyamel fir trees, the forest glows orange, branches bend under the weight of wings, and silence is broken only by the rustle of butterflies. It's not just migration, it's poetry in motion. A living miracle fluttering on a breeze. Next up, we head back to the ocean for the battle-tested warriors of the deep, the mighty gray whales. Gray whale, the ocean's marathoner. Twice a year, gray whales embark on one of the most physically demanding journeys in the animal kingdom, up to 14,000 miles round trip. From the icy feeding grounds of the Bering and Chukchi Seas, down to the warm, protected lagoons of Baja California, Mexico, where they breed and give birth. That's like swimming from New York to Los Angeles and back, without a single pit stop. What's astonishing isn't just the distance, it's the resilience. These 40 to 45-foot giants, weighing as much as 80,000 pounds, navigate through shipping lanes, dodge predators like orcas, and push through rapidly changing waters influenced by climate change. And they do it all at a steady pace of just 3 to 5 miles per hour. Their journey is mapped by memory and millennia-old instinct. Each year they return with pinpoint accuracy to the same lagoons where they were once born. It's so reliable, scientists use their migration to monitor ocean health. And in a remarkable twist, one individual whale made history. In a case highlighted in 2021, a gray whale was spotted off the coast of Namibia, a place no gray whale had ever been recorded. Genetic testing revealed it came from the Pacific population, meaning this whale likely swam a staggering 16,700 miles, the longest known mammal migration ever documented. Gray whales aren't just long-distance swimmers. They're ocean navigators, nutrient recyclers, and a living symbol of endurance. Each splash they make echoes across hemispheres and across generations. Salmon, born to return, destined to sacrifice. Few migrations are as emotionally charged or as biologically intense as that of the Pacific salmon. From quiet mountain streams to the vastness of the Pacific Ocean, their life story is written in both epic scale and ultimate sacrifice. Born in freshwater rivers, salmon are carried downstream to the sea as juveniles. They spend 2 to 5 years navigating the open ocean, growing strong, wide-ranging, and unpredictable. Then, as if called by something ancient, they reverse course, traveling hundreds, sometimes over 1,000 miles upstream, back to the very stream where they were born. But this return isn't easy. They leap waterfalls, dodge bears, evade eagles, and push through churning rapids without feeding at all. Their bodies slowly deteriorate as they burn through reserves of fat and muscle. Some arrive at their spawning grounds emaciated and scarred, living ghosts of the ocean. And after spawning, they die. But their death is far from meaningless. Their decomposing bodies fertilize the forest floor, feed predators, enrich streams, and even nourish the trees. Scientists have found marine-derived nitrogen in the rings of inland conifers, a direct gift from salmon to the forest. Their internal compass is still a mystery. They likely rely on Earth's magnetic field, smell, and celestial cues to find their natal waters. But in the end, the salmon's legacy isn't just about returning home. It's about giving life to an entire ecosystem, even in death. Caribou, the ghost herds of the north. In the Arctic wilderness, caribou migrate in what feels like slow-motion thunder. Their presence is quiet, yet powerful, tens of thousands moving across endless tundra, snowfields, and boreal forests in a cycle that defines northern life. Some herds, like the porcupine caribou herd, number up to 200,000 strong, traveling more than 3,000 miles per year, one of the longest land migrations by a mammal. Their goal? A relentless pursuit of survival. In winter, they roam southward into boreal forests to forage for lichen, scraping through snow with their hooves. In spring, they return north to traditional calving grounds, often across treacherous mountain passes and river crossings, to birth the next generation. What makes this journey so astonishing isn't just the distance. It's the precision. Caribou time their migration with weather, snowmelt, and vegetation bloom. Miss that timing, and calves perish. Wolves, grizzlies, and golden eagles trail the herd, waiting for weakness. Yet somehow, these hooved nomads endure. They also shape entire ecosystems. Their hooves churn the soil, their movement disperses seeds, and their presence supports predators and scavengers alike. In indigenous cultures, caribou are not just animals. They're life-sustaining legends, and they're fast. Caribou can run 50 miles per hour and swim icy rivers without hesitation. Every step they take is an echo of resilience, written across the map of the Arctic, one hoofprint at a time. Sea turtle, the ancient navigators of the ocean. For millions of years, sea turtles have crossed oceans on migratory paths so vast and precise, they seem guided by memory carved into the waves. These reptiles, some over 300 pounds, swim thousands of miles across open ocean to return to the very beach where they were born, often after decades spent drifting in the blue. The leatherback turtle, the largest of all sea turtles, migrates more than 7,000 miles one way from nesting grounds to jellyfish-rich feeding zones. A turtle named Yoshi once swam over 22,000 miles in just 2 years, a record-breaking voyage across the Indian Ocean. But how do they do it? Scientists believe sea turtles use the Earth's magnetic field like a biological GPS, locking onto unique magnetic signatures of coastlines to navigate. Even hatchlings, barely the size of a silver dollar, can orient themselves to begin their first journey into the open sea. Their migration isn't a solo story, it's a saga of survival. Along the way, turtles dodge long-line fisheries, plastic pollution, and shifting ocean currents caused by climate change. Nesting beaches vanish due to development or rising sea levels. And yet they return. What makes this journey profound is not just the distance, but the commitment. A female sea turtle may not nest every year. But when she does, she crawls ashore, digs in the sand, and lays hundreds of eggs before vanishing into the waves. They are time travelers in shells, silent, stoic, and eternal, linking continents and generations in a rhythm older than humanity itself. Humpback whale, the singing giants of the sea. Graceful and gigantic humpback whales travel up to 10,000 miles round trip every year, migrating between polar feeding grounds and tropical breeding zones. It's one of the longest migrations of any mammal, and it comes with a soundtrack. Yes, humpbacks sing as they swim. These 40 to 50-foot whales, weighing up to 80,000 pounds, spend their summers in nutrient-rich waters like Alaska or Antarctica, where they feast on krill and small fish. But as winter nears, they head south, toward places like Hawaii, Mexico, or Tonga, where warm, calm waters are ideal for giving birth and mating. But they don't just swim silently. Male humpbacks produce complex, haunting songs that can last for hours and travel for miles. No one knows exactly why, perhaps to attract mates or communicate across vast ocean stretches. But the result is one of the most beautiful mysteries in the animal kingdom. Their journey is filled with threats, collisions with ships, entanglement in fishing gear, ocean noise pollution, and food scarcity from shifting currents. Yet their determination is unshakable. Some whales fast for months, living off fat reserves while nurturing newborn calves. And when a humpback breaches, launching its massive body out of the water in an arc of raw power, it's more than a spectacle. It's a celebration, a message, a memory being written into the sea. Each migration connects two worlds, the frozen north and the tropical south, the primal hunger for survival and the deep instinct to create life. Humpbacks don't just migrate, they perform an oceanic opera that spans hemispheres. Dragonfly, the delicate daredevil of the skies. When you think of migration, you probably don't picture a 2-inch insect leading one of the most extreme journeys on Earth. But that's exactly what the globe skimmer dragonfly, Pantala flavescens, does. These shimmering flyers undertake the longest insect migration in the world, traveling up to 11,000 miles round trip, crossing continents and oceans from India to East Africa and back. Unlike monarch butterflies, they don't rely on multiple generations. Many globe skimmers make the journey themselves, powered by wings no wider than your pinky finger. They fly over vast stretches of ocean, catching high-altitude winds to conserve energy. And while most insects stay low and local, these daredevils reach elevations of up to 20,000 feet, rivaling the altitude of small planes. How do they survive? Precision, timing, and incredible adaptability. Dragonflies follow rainfall patterns, emerging where temporary ponds appear so they can breed. Once the water dries, their offspring continue the journey where their parents left off. And though small, they play a big role. They're apex aerial predators, eating mosquitoes, midges, and flies, and serve as indicators of ecosystem health. Their migration also links multiple countries and climates, from steamy tropics to dry savannas. What's most fascinating? These dragonflies travel without GPS, memory, or training, just instinct, a journey programmed into their DNA. So the next time you see a dragonfly flicker past, don't dismiss it. It might be in the middle of a cross-continental adventure that rivals anything in the animal kingdom. Plankton, the planet's invisible commuters. They're microscopic, weightless, and drift with the currents, yet they perform the largest migration on Earth every single day. We're talking about zooplankton, the animal-like members of the plankton world. Billions rise toward the ocean's surface at dusk and dive back down before dawn, moving up to 3,000 feet daily in a vertical commute that drives entire marine ecosystems. This movement isn't seasonal, it's relentless. It happens every 24 hours, across every ocean, and on a scale so massive that it's visible from space with sensitive satellite sensors. And despite being no bigger than grains of sand, their synchronized motion affects the balance of the planet. The reason? Feeding and survival. Plankton ascend at night to feast on phytoplankton under the cover of darkness, avoiding predators like fish and jellyfish. When daylight returns, they sink into deeper, darker waters to hide, carrying surface carbon with them in the process. In doing so, they act as carbon couriers, playing a vital role in regulating the Earth's climate. Shimmering clouds of bioluminescence, generated by plankton, have even fooled naval radar and lit up entire coastlines. They may not be majestic or photogenic, but their impact is colossal. Without them, fish die, whales starve, coral reefs collapse, and the carbon cycle slows. Plankton are the beating pulse of the ocean, moving not with legs or wings, but with purpose older than language. Christmas Island red crab, the march of millions. Every year on a remote island in the Indian Ocean, millions of red crabs abandon their forest burrows and begin a spectacular, synchronized march to the sea. This isn't some minor seasonal shuffle, it's a biological flood. Roads shut down, bridges are built just for them. And for a few wild weeks, Christmas Island turns crimson. Triggered by the first heavy rains of the monsoon season, the crabs begin a journey from the island's central jungle to the shoreline. They travel over rocks, down cliffs, and across highways, forming crimson waves that crawl with a rhythm no one teaches and no map dictates. Males arrive first, dig burrows, and await the females. After mating, the females stay behind to release hundreds of thousands of eggs into the surf, perfectly timed with the moon's cycle and ocean tides. Then they vanish back into the forest. What follows is pure magic. Tiny baby crabs, barely the size of a pinhead, emerge from the sea weeks later and begin their uphill return in reverse, carpeting the landscape like red confetti in motion. Few animal migrations so thoroughly transform their environment. The crabs aerate soil, recycle nutrients, and shape the island's ecology with their annual movements. Their trek is so integral, scientists say the forest wouldn't function without them. On an island where time bends to claws, evolution walks sideways, and in unison. Great white shark, the phantom voyagers of the deep. Beneath the waves, in silence and solitude, the great white shark moves, undaunted, unseen, and unstoppable. These apex predators are more than just fearsome hunters. They're also long-distance navigators, with some individuals migrating over 6,000 miles across oceans. One remarkable shark known as Nicole swam from South Africa to Western Australia and back, a round trip of over 12,400 miles. No drama, no fanfare, just pure purpose. Satellite tags reveal a curious pattern. great whites don't just wander. They follow temperature gradients, prey hotspots, and deep ocean currents with eerie consistency. Though mostly solitary, they all converge in one unexpected place, the so-called White Shark Cafe, a mysterious patch of ocean between Hawaii and Baja California. Scientists still don't fully understand why they gather there, possibly to feed, possibly to mate, maybe both. Along the way, they dive as deep as 3,000 feet, switching between surface travel and shadowy trenches in what seems like a choreographed rhythm of depth and direction. Their migration doesn't follow seasons as much as it does scent, movement, and energy efficiency. With a sixth sense, attuned to electric fields, and a nose that can detect a drop of blood from miles away, great whites are the ultimate long-haul predators. Not all travelers need maps. Some just need instinct, confidence, and teeth. Bluefin tuna, the silver torpedoes that never stop. Built like aquatic missiles, bluefin tuna are nature's high-speed migrants. Capable of swimming at speeds up to 43 miles per hour, these oceanic sprinters cross entire oceans, racing from feeding grounds in the North Atlantic to spawning areas in the Gulf of Mexico or the Mediterranean. Some bluefin have been tracked moving over 6,000 miles in a matter of weeks. Others cross the entire Pacific Ocean from Japan to California and back, weaving through international waters like silver streaks in constant motion. Unlike many fish, bluefin are warm-blooded, allowing them to survive temperature extremes and maintain peak performance in cold, deep water. This gives them an edge when chasing prey like mackerel, squid, or sardines, and it also fuels their endless migrations. But this power comes with a price. Bluefin are among the most highly prized fish on Earth, often fetching six-figure sums in Tokyo markets. Overfishing has devastated populations, placing these masters of motion on the endangered list. Yet their migrations continue, resilient, rhythmic, relentless. Scientists are using satellite tags to understand their routes, hoping data can help conserve these giants before they vanish from the map. To follow a bluefin is to chase speed, strategy, and stamina across entire hemispheres. They're not just migrating, they're racing against time. Northern elephant seal, the deep divers of the Pacific. Lumbering and awkward on land, the northern elephant seal transforms the moment it hits water, becoming a deep-sea explorer with a migration as astonishing as any whale or shark. Twice a year, these massive mammals swim over 13,000 miles round trip, traveling between California's beaches and feeding zones that stretch deep into the North Pacific. Males can weigh up to 5,000 pounds, yet they dive with surprising grace. Some descend more than 5,000 feet, holding their breath for up to 2 hours in pursuit of squid, fish, and deep-sea delicacies. These migrations are solitary. No pods, no flocks, just a seal, the sea, and a mission. After breeding and molting on shore, they vanish into open water, where they spend 80 to 90% of their time submerged, surfacing only for air before diving again. It's a cycle repeated hundreds of times over the course of their journey. The timing of their return is near perfect. females come back pregnant, ready to give birth precisely 1 year after their last pup. Males return to fight for dominance on the beach, their signature proboscis inflating like a battle horn. Few creatures switch between two worlds so completely. On land, they seem clumsy and slow. At sea, they become torpedo-shaped ghosts, navigating vast expanses of open ocean with no guide but memory and instinct. In every wave they pass, a challenge waits, and they face it head-on, one dive, one breath, 1 mile at a time. Lesser flamingo, the pink pilgrims of East Africa. Where salt and fire meet water, the lesser flamingo thrives. In a world of scalding alkaline lakes and toxic vapors, these elegant birds stage one of the most dazzling migrations in Africa, not across continents, but between cauldrons of chemistry. Millions gather in luminous pink swarms, transforming remote soda lakes into surreal, living paintings. Their journey isn't dictated by latitude or temperature. It's orchestrated by rainfall, salinity, and algae bloom cycles. From the shimmering surfaces of Lake Natron in Tanzania to Lake Bogoria in Kenya, these flamingos follow microscopic food with the precision of seasoned navigators. They feed almost exclusively on cyanobacteria, spirulina, tiny organisms that bloom in hostile, high pH waters few other animals can endure. Lake Natron, with its blood-red surface and skin-scalding waters, becomes a nursery for tens of thousands of flamingo chicks. The birds nest on fragile mud islands that form when water levels drop, timing their entire breeding cycle with lunar phases, rainfall, and mineral shifts. And when conditions shift again, the flamingos take flight, forming undulating pink ribbons that stretch across the Great Rift Valley. Yet their migration remains under threat. Damming, pollution, and mineral extraction disrupt the delicate chemistry these birds depend on. Flamingos don't just need space, they need highly specific water conditions, making their survival uniquely fragile. Still, they return. With every wing beat, they defy odds. In a place where beauty burns and water bites, flamingos turn poison into paradise. Their migration is not only a search for food, it's a testament to resilience, adaptation, and the wild poetry of nature. Each time they rise from a lake's surface, the sky blushes, and Earth remembers its colors. Hammerhead shark, the social shadows of the sea. Solitude rules the shark world until the hammerhead arrives. These unique predators, with their alien-shaped heads and panoramic vision, form seasonal gatherings of hundreds, migrating along warm currents like a pack of silent submarines. Every year, schools of scalloped hammerheads cruise the tropical oceans near Costa Rica's Cocos Island, the Galapagos, and Malpelo, creating a ghostly ballet of synchronized motion. Tagging data reveals they migrate hundreds to thousands of miles, often making vertical dives by day and surfacing at night, chasing schools of sardines and squid, These migrations are more than movement, they're mystery. Hammerheads seem drawn to seamounts, underwater mountain ranges, where magnetic fields may guide their way. Females often return to known nursery grounds to birth their pups, suggesting deep-rooted navigational memory. Their group behavior remains a puzzle. Scientists speculate it might help deter predators, streamline hunting, or simply be part of their reproductive cycle. Whatever the reason, seeing a wall of hammerheads glide past in formation is something few ever forget. Despite their majesty, hammerheads face rising threats. Overfishing and shark finning have reduced their numbers sharply in recent decades. Conservation areas like Cocos and Galapagos now stand as vital sanctuaries. Within the blue, they remain elusive, half shadow and half myth, ancient symbols of instinct, strength, and motion. Zebra, the silent trail across Botswana. In the heart of southern Africa, a quiet transformation takes place. Thousands of Burchell's zebras begin a slow, steady migration across Botswana, tracing ancient routes between the Okavango Delta and the Makgadikgadi Pans, one of the longest large mammal migrations in Africa. Their movement is subtle, lacking the explosive drama of wildebeest. There's no thunder of hooves, no sprinting across crocodile-infested rivers, just an enduring march, nearly 300 miles round trip, driven by instinct and the promise of green grass. Guided by seasonal rains, zebras leave the lush Okavango wetlands during the dry season and head southeast to feed on the newly sprouting grasses in the salt pans. Timing is everything. Arrive too early, and there's no forage. Too late, and the heat becomes unbearable. This migration was only rediscovered in recent decades, after decades of fencing and habitat fragmentation had obscured their natural path. With the removal of barriers, researchers using GPS collars were astonished to see zebras returning to this long-lost journey, proof that memory endures, even across generations. The trail they follow cuts through lion territory, open savanna, and shimmering mirages. Alongside them, elephants, ostriches, and wildebeest often travel, creating an ebb and flow of life that reshapes the land with every season. No migration here shouts for attention, yet every hoofprint whispers a legacy older than borders, a rhythm etched into the dust, quiet, steady, eternal. Asian elephant, the gentle giants of the gathering. Each year during Sri Lanka's dry season, a magical event unfolds by the shores of Minaria Reservoir. It's not thunderclouds that roll in, it's elephants. Hundreds of wild Asian elephants, young and old, emerge from the jungles and march toward the dwindling water, forming one of the largest seasonal gatherings of elephants in the world. Known simply as the gathering, this migration is driven by scarcity. As smaller waterholes dry up, herds trek for miles to reach the reservoir's shrinking edge, the last oasis in a parched landscape. What begins as scattered family groups turns into a social congregation. Mothers guide calves, bulls spar for dominance, and juveniles splash like children at summer camp. It's more than a drink. It's a reunion, a survival strategy, and a rare moment of visibility for one of Asia's most elusive creatures. Here, elephants find not only water, but fresh grasses, mud baths, and safety in numbers. The timing is precise, August to October, when the land is driest and the herds need each other most. But their path isn't without peril. Habitat loss, agriculture, and human encroachment have narrowed their corridors. Yet, year after year, they return, drawn by memory, instinct, and the promise of life at water's edge. In a world often rushing forward, this ancient pilgrimage reminds us to follow the rhythms of the earth. The gathering is not a spectacle, it's a heartbeat. Sandhill crane, voices across the sky. Long before spring touches the soil, the sky begins to sing. Sandhill cranes, with their haunting trumpet-like calls, rise in massive flocks and glide across the central flyways of North America. From Texas and New Mexico to Alaska and Siberia, they trace a migratory arc that spans thousands of miles. A flight older than highways, fences, or borders. Their wings barely flap. Instead, they ride thermals with outstretched necks, slipping through wind corridors with uncanny grace. Stopovers like Nebraska's Platte River Valley become staging grounds, where over 500,000 cranes gather in a living, dancing chorus of gray feathers and red-capped heads. These birds migrate in family units, parents teaching young not just the path, but the art of flying together. Their movements mirror the land. They follow the thaw northward and retreat as winter returns. Timing is survival. But what stirs the soul isn't the distance, it's the sound. A sandhill's call carries for miles, echoing over prairie, farmland, and wetland alike. It's a voice that binds generations, a song that has rung across the continent since the Ice Age. Cranes are deeply symbolic in many cultures, representing longevity, harmony, and peace. But today, they're also symbols of resilience. Agricultural expansion and wetland loss continue to challenge their journey, but they adapt, shift, and return. To witness their migration is to watch the wind carry memory. Each V formation writes a story in the sky, one that no machine, map, or mind could ever replicate. Beluga whale, the Arctic's social swimmers. In the icy waters of the Arctic, where icebergs drift and the sun barely sets in summer, beluga whales carve invisible trails through the deep. These charismatic, vocal mammals, nicknamed canaries of the sea, migrate with a social flair that few marine species can match. Every year, thousands of belugas travel from open ocean to shallow estuaries and river mouths, covering hundreds to over 1,000 miles, depending on the population. In Canada's Hudson Bay, for example, nearly 60,000 belugas gather each summer in warm, brackish waters where they molt, nurse calves, and socialize in tight-knit pods. Their journey is less about raw distance and more about precision timing and seasonal change. As sea ice retreats in late spring, belugas follow the melt, using leads and polinias, openings in the ice, as migration corridors. Come fall, they return to deeper waters, navigating shifting ice fields with uncanny skill. Their communication is rich and complex, They chirp, squeal, and click constantly, maintaining cohesion in murky waters and guiding young through narrow, icy channels. Noisy? Yes. But their chatter is critical, especially during migration, when coordination and contact are survival tools. Despite their adaptability, climate change is rewriting the Arctic script. Melting ice and increased human activity, shipping, oil exploration, disrupt ancient routes. Still, belugas persist, weaving resilience into every mile they swim. Where most migrations echo solitude, the beluga's journey hums with conversation. In the silence of the Arctic, they sing, together and always forward. African buffalo, the power herds of the savanna. In the sweeping grasslands of sub-Saharan Africa, Cape buffalo don't wander aimlessly. They march with purpose. These brawny herbivores, capable of weighing over 1,500 pounds, migrate in herds that can number into the hundreds or even thousands, creating a slow-moving force that reshapes the savanna as it moves. Their migrations aren't cross-continental like those of birds or whales, but within their regional ecosystems, like Kruger National Park or the Okavango Delta, buffalo follow the rains with strategic precision. They graze and move, constantly chasing the next green patch, often covering dozens of miles in seasonal pulses that regulate the landscape. Where buffalo go, predators follow. Lions trail them, sometimes risking everything to bring down a full-grown bull. Crocodiles wait at river crossings. The danger is ever present. Still, buffalo don't panic. They stick together, flanks to flank, horns out, turning migration into mobile defense. And they remember. Studies show that matriarchs guide herds based on past droughts, water holes, and threats, passing knowledge down like an oral history without a word spoken. Their impact is profound. As they move, they open up grazing paths for other species, fertilize soils, and shape the food web in ways only large herbivores can. These are not gentle pilgrims. They are armored nomads, steady, wary, and essential to the heartbeat of Africa's wild. Straw-colored fruit bat, the sky flood of Africa. When twilight falls over Kasanka National Park in Zambia each year between October and December, the skies don't just darken, they erupt into motion. Over 10 million straw-colored fruit bats pour out of the swamp forests, turning the air into a living, rustling storm. It's not just the largest bat migration, it's the largest migration of any mammal on Earth by sheer number. Each bat weighs less than a pound, but together they consume billions of fruits nightly, from figs to musuku to mangoes, clearing trees in minutes and scattering seeds across thousands of square miles. They arrive from all over Central Africa, Congo, South Sudan, Angola, and beyond. And they're right on time, sync to the first rains and the ripening of wild fruit. Their movement isn't chaos. It's a highly evolved response to ecological rhythms. They feed the forest. Their droppings fertilize soil. Their seed dispersal jumpstarts entire ecosystems. Ecologists call them flying foresters, and without them, vast regions of Africa's woodlands would struggle to regenerate after dry seasons. Yet danger lurks. Hawks dive through the flocks, crocodiles patrol beneath roosting trees, and hunters lie in wait. These bats are a seasonal lifeline, but also a target. Conservationists have stepped in, protecting roosting trees and working with local communities to balance tradition with sustainability. Their efforts are vital, because when the bats vanish, the forest falls silent in more ways than one. Then, as fast as they came, the bats leave, back into the winds that carried them, leaving behind seedlings, nutrient-rich soil, and a memory of sky that once breathed with wings. And next year, right before the rains, they'll return. On time, unstoppable, and utterly irreplaceable. European eel, the freshwater phantom. The life of a European eel begins in mystery and ends in legend. Born in the deep waters of the Sargasso Sea, these eels drift for months as leaf-like larvae across the Atlantic Ocean toward the coasts of Europe and North Africa. Then, as they transform into glass eels, they move inland, swimming up rivers, canals, even crossing wet grass at night in search of freshwater homes. They spend up to 20 years growing in lakes, ponds, and rivers, from Ireland to the Mediterranean. But then comes the call, silent and ancient. It triggers a complete transformation. Their eyes enlarge, bellies silver, and they stop feeding. These now called silver eels begin the thousands of miles migration back to the Sargasso to spawn just once and die. No one has ever seen a European eel spawn. No eggs, no mating pairs, only their ghostly journey home. What guides them across ocean currents remains largely unknown, though magnetic fields and celestial cues are likely at play. Their route is filled with modern barriers. Dams, turbines, pollution, and now climate change. Populations have plummeted by over 90% in recent decades. Yet, still they go, slipping silently through rivers, hugging coastlines, vanishing into the Atlantic like whispers in the dark. They are migration's most elusive travelers. No fins roar, no flocks rise, but they persist. A silver thread stretching from the rivers of Europe to the heart of an ocean no one's ever seen. From the depths of the ocean to the skies above Africa, these epic migrations remind us that nature is always in motion, resilient, rhythmic, and awe-inspiring. If you were amazed by the journeys of these extraordinary animals, don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment below with your favorite migration story. And if you want to keep exploring the wild with us, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an adventure.